Every entrepreneur has faced this challenge at some point in their life. Today, I want to talk about the procrastination and resistance, but not from the obvious point of view. I want to give you the spiritual and the biological point of view so you understand the situation better because there is no problem when you face resistance. There is no problem when you don't want to do something. There is a problem though if you force yourself to do something that you do not want to do. Even if that was on your plan today, even if that was, I don't know, like a big important thing, if you don't want to do it, you're not doing it. So let me give you my personal example, personal story, because that's gonna illustrate and explain everything we're gonna cover in this video. All right, so I have plans to record videos, right? And I really wanted to record them. I had the scripts, I had the idea, I had the time, but when I sat down to actually start recording, something in my brain just said, not yet, not yet. Let me know if that sounds familiar because for so many people, it is actually a very, very familiar feeling. And this is what I understood about it. It's not the laziness. So like, I genuinely wanted to make videos, but what I realized is more often than not, you're not gonna be ready to sit and do a big task, right? So what I realized is there are a couple of reasons. I want to start with a biological one, right? Your brain, or like any brain, the way that it was designed by the nature, right? The evolution. The brain is kind of lazy, right? But again, it's not a problem. You just have to find a why how to do things that you want to do, like in an enjoyable way. So there's really nothing wrong with it. So I'm realizing that more often than not, if I have this like big thing planned, my brain is not gonna allow me to just jump in. Or like, yes, I could jump in, I could force myself, but it just doesn't feel good. It just doesn't feel good. And this is where a lot of people, especially when it comes to entrepreneurs, you are forcing yourself. You are just pushing yourself to to do it, right? You sit, you hate it, you don't enjoy the process, but you are still pushing. You are still pushing. Like suffering through it makes you stronger, like it's a badge of honor. It is not. It is not. You're just shooting yourself in the foot and you're just making it so complicated for yourself, and it makes you hate the thing. So there's not really any point or any value in sitting and forcing yourself. All the extreme productivities, protocols, routines, and everything that you see on social media about like, fuck your feelings, and it doesn't matter how you feel, just do it no matter what, right? So let's get into the biological part, what I call the warm-up. And it is applicable to sports, it is applicable to business, it is applicable to any area in your life. So think about this. You never start running. Say you want to do some sprints in the gym. You're not going to sprint like right away. And sometimes I did, and it just doesn't feel good. Your body are not ready. Even though like I know, for example, I'm capable of sprinting. Like I do high intensity interval training for my cardio. So like my VO2 max is about like 62, 65. If you're into fitness, that's like a pretty high number. That's about like, I don't know, 1% of people, if not less than that. But anyway, you want to take some time to warm up, right? If you're lifting weights, you're warming up because your body, it just requires a warm up in order to give that output that you want. But when it comes to building a business, when it comes to creating or like any kind of mental work, people just sit down and expect the engine to be hot, right? You expect like, oh, I'm just gonna sit down and it's gonna be perfectly good, right? I'm just gonna sit and I'm just gonna do it. So it's like, again, trying to run a sprint without warming up. Your body requires some activity to be able to, to prepare to. I'm not going to describe like every biological process, but you get the point. Now, here's a thing that you can do, and this is like, it changes the whole approach to your business, to your life. Instead of forcing it, I did something slightly different. So I had my script, and instead of sitting in front of the camera and pressing the record, I started talking to AI about it, right? It's like this really cool low friction action that you can take, which is still related to the action that you want to take, to the things that you plan or you wanted to do, right? Say that's going to be recording videos, as in my case, right? And once I start chatting to AI about my content, about my ideas like this, I just naturally, after a couple of, back and forth answers, I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. So your brain, like, it starts to engage with the thing that you want to do. Like in this case, that's going to be the content, right? And you can ask like any sort of questions, right? There's really nothing specific, right? But just take something, depending on the thing that you want to do, and think about a low friction action that you can take, which is still, asking about your script is kind of cool. Like, oh, how should I record this? Or, any sort of questions. And what I'm noticing every time that I use this strategy, within like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, a little bit less, a little bit more, that doesn't really matter, right? My brain just naturally wants to, oh, okay, I'm actually ready to record a video. Or it could be, taking some action on your business, right? I don't know, like, exactly what you do, of course, but, you can extrapolate what I just said to anything that you do in life. And it works not because I force it, but because I did something easy at first, right? Low friction, low stakes, something that doesn't feel like I'm performing, because sitting in front of the camera for a lot of people might feel like you are performing. And this is like a mental thing for your brain. Your brain just like doesn't want to work. Your brain just wants to have fun, sort of make something that is enjoyable, and content creation can be enjoyable. So the same way your body needs to warm up before like lifting weights or running some sprints, your brain wants a warm up. And I am pretty sure now you can compare that to how, for example, you might be running your business, to how you might be creating content for your channel or from other social media platforms, right? So a warm-up is just this little transition that you use to do the action, right? Because here's a very toxic thing that happens when I see people say, like, I watch content, especially when it comes to like business, productivity, achieving something big, building a big company, things like that. So people just don't understand it, and they force it. But instead, you just want to make it feel like a game, like you're playing, right? You're just preparing for this like cool event. And this is like the biggest mindset shift, even like from the spiritual point of view, right? What happens is you go with the flow, you're not forcing it. But so many people are so obsessed with like, oh, like I'm gonna take action even if I don't feel like it. Are you like a mental masochist? Fucking perverts. Like, really, if you're doing this to yourself, my friend, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You might have more results in short term, but in the long run, It's just not sustainable, right? Let's talk about biology. So what's actually happening in your brain when you do this? When you sit down to do something big and your brain resists, that's not weakness, that's not laziness, that's biology. Your brain has two main modes, right? One is the default one, that's like the resting state, the background processing. And the other one is the task positive network, that's the active, focused execution mode, right? And these two networks, they do not coexist. They take turns, and the switch between them is not instant. When you jump from doing nothing into a high focus task, you're asking your brain to flip a switch it's not ready to flip, right? Again, it's like shifting a car from first gear straight to the fifth. And yes, possible on the paper, but probably like not very effective. And there's also something else, the dopamine. The dopamine is not just about pleasure, it's about the anticipated reward. When you look at a huge task like, let's say, record 4 videos in the next few hours, your brain calculates the efforts to reward ratio and the payoff feels far away, right? You see, it's interesting. And the dopamine doesn't spike, the motivation doesn't come. And it's not like that you're doing something wrong. The reason is actually very simple. The task is too big and too abstract for your brain to get excited about it right now. Sounds simple, right? Now, when you do something small, when you ask one question, write one line, have one conversation about the topic, something shifts. You complete what I would call a micro action, and your brain gets a small dopamine hit. So you get a little bit of that reward, and that starts activating the brain. And that little activation is enough to start pulling you forward. And not by force, but just naturally. And this is why the athletes warm up, right? It's preparation. Your muscles need blood flow, and your nervous system needs to ramp up as well. It's the same thing, right? Whether you are running, sprinting, racing a car, right? Same thing. Your brain is the same. It's not a machine you turn on with a switch. It's a living system that needs preparation, that needs warm up. And so many, so many entrepreneurs they're just trapped in this very toxic cycle of being machines, right? Like so obsessed with the results, so obsessed with numbers, with metrics, but like why? Why are you doing what you're doing? If you ask yourself honestly. Are you doing it because you genuinely enjoy doing what you're doing, or just because you've been brainwashed, socially conditioned by society? Like it's installed a virus and you executed it, right? Something to think about. So when you skip the warm-up, when you just go like, oh, I'm gonna grind, I'm just gonna go like, force myself. It's not about being disciplined. It's just you are stupid with your own hardware, your brain and your body, right? Let's now talk about the spiritual part of it. And this is my favorite one. Now we are connecting biology to spirituality, and this is where it goes deeper. So there's a book called The Kabbalion. It's based on Hamitic philosophy, which are like ancient principles about how the universe works, how it's designed. And when I understood this warm-up thing, I realized that the old philosophers, they already knew it. And it's kind of funny that like all the ancient civilizations, in some areas, they actually knew more than us. So the book talks about 7 principles, and 3 of them map directly onto what we are discussing. So first one, I really want you to understand this because it's going to be so helpful for like your life, let's say your fitness, your business, anything that you do. So it's called the principle of rhythm. Everything has tides. Everything rises and falls. And there's the rhythm to your energy, your focus, and your motivation. You cannot force the tide. You cannot command the ocean to rise on your schedule, right? But what you can do is recognize where you are in the rhythm and just act accordingly, right? If you are in a low tide, forcing it won't raise the water, it will just exhaust you, right? You know when you have like zero energy, but you're still like playing this like high performance entrepreneur, which is in reality you're just torturing yourself, like you don't feel good. Oh, I'm gonna do it no matter what. I'm gonna sit and work, and it's just stupid. It's just stupid. But now, if we use these spiritual principles and we do the warm-up, we do something small, something that moves with the rhythm instead of against it, the tide comes in on its own. The second principle is the principle of vibration, and it's related to quantum physics. I mean, it's kind of funny that scientists are now discovering what ancient philosophers were talking about like thousand years ago. So everything vibrates, everything is in motion at a certain frequency. So think about this. If we look at the atom, at the molecules, at the fundamental level, everything is energy. Everything is energy. Your body, the matter, the objects that you have. And to give you an example, when you're cold, your vibration is low. When you are engaged in something, it's higher. And you do not jump from low to high by force. You raise it gradually, like one small action, one question, one thought, right? For example, I can give you an idea. Let's say you watch a movie and try to notice this when you do like whatever, right? I just want to give you like this, let's call this like an exercise, but it's more for you just to observe how you feel, how your thoughts flow. Because again, everything is mental. Everything that you see outside in your reality, it is mental, right? And notice how your state changes throughout the day. Let's say you watch a movie, you start watching and you gradually build the interest towards the movie, right? Maybe in the beginning it's like, okay, not bad. And then like after 1 hour, you're really bought into the story, into the characters, into everything, right? And that's the principle of vibration, and that's the principle of rhythm as well. And the third one that I want to discuss, and this is for my the entrepreneur friends, those of you who would consider yourself a high performance entrepreneur, right? You're all about results, all about building big. So this is called the principle of gender. There's a masculine principle and a feminine principle in everything. The masculine is the active force. So it's the push, the assertion, the will to act. The feminine is the receptive, the incubation, the allowing, the gestation. And when you force yourself to work, you're using only the masculine, pure force, pure will, no receptivity. And here's the problem. Creation needs both, right? For example, if you plant a seed, it takes time to grow. Like planting is the masculine. And the seed, when the seed is growing, when it's maturing, it is the feminine energy, right? It's not possible without one. So you want to find balance in allowing and taking action. So for example, the warm-up, say like playing with ideas, chatting with AI about like a video that you want to record, like anything, right? That's the feminine principle. That's the incubation. You let the idea come to you, you create the conditions, and then the masculine, the recording, the executing, the doing, it just feels effortless. It feels effortless, right? If you want to build something big, right, in your business, in your life, do you really want to force it? Like, let me ask you this honest fucking question. Do you want to force action, or do you want to just be like in the flow? Wow, it just feels good, I'm enjoying it. And when you are in the flow, the results are better, like always. So when people skip the warm-up and go straight to forcing, they are trying to create with only half of the engine running. Well, it works for a while, but you're gonna burn out eventually. So like, It's no surprise why most people cannot sustain, building a business, running a business, or, whatever is the thing that you are doing. And if you do not understand these spiritual principles, well, at some point you're just going to burn out and hate what you are doing. And this is not very cool, right? And again, it's kind of interesting that the Kybalion has described the fundamental principles of this reality thousands of years before the neuroscience, right? So it's same thing, but like a different language, okay? And now, we have a couple more points. The video is actually getting a little bit longer than I expected, but that's kind of cool, okay? Okay. This is the block 5, what I called the trap. I kind of mentioned that briefly, but let's go a little bit deeper, right? This is where I have a problem with the entire discipline, high performance, like high level entrepreneurs industry. All these people are telling you to push through, just force yourself, just do it. Like discipline equals freedom. But discipline without intelligence is like self-harm. It's like it's torturing yourself. It's like a form of spiritual crime, mental crime against yourself. And forcing yourself to do something when your brain is not ready is not discipline. It is mental violence. You are taking a cold engine and redlining it until something breaks, right? And people do this for years. They sit, hating every minute, grinding through their work, that your brain just doesn't want to do. And they think that the suffering is the point. Like once I suffer enough, then, I'm gonna build a business. Without suffering, I cannot get something like some substantial big results in my life, in my business. And this is just not true. It was never true in the first place. So you think that if it doesn't hurt, it doesn't count. But it's madness, my friend. And it doesn't even work long term, right? You'll burn out eventually. You stop creating with love, right? And when there's no love, when there's no passion, when there's no joy in your actions that you're taking, whether you are building a business or you have a career or you're doing something creative, it's just not gonna work. And then the same people who told you to push through, they will sell you a course on recovering from burnout, right? So what's the alternative? Stop being a tyrant with your own mind, right? Become an operator, an architecture instead. Someone who understands the machine, which is your body, your mind, your spirit. I mean, machine is just like a metaphor, obviously. So work with it, not against it. And I don't even use the word work, but it's just kind of obvious for a lot of people. But anyway, don't go against yourself. You don't force the engine. You warm it up. You let it reach the temperature, and then you drive. Right? That's kind of it. That's kind of it. So let's close the video, and I want to share a couple of final points. Whatever you are trying to do, record videos, write, build a business, train physically, stop trying to go from 0 to 100. Think about what's the smallest possible action that is going to move you towards the task, right? Something easy, something that doesn't feel like performing. So ask a question, write a sentence, talk to someone about it, talk with AI, but play with it, play with the idea. That's the warm-up. So many people, you don't know how to play. You know how to struggle, you know how to push through, you know how to force, but you do not know how to play. And that's pretty sad. We live in this society of traumatized adults. You probably are like a traumatized kid who's trying to prove your worth to the reality by forcing it. right? Once I achieve something big in my life, and then I'm gonna be I'm gonna be worthy and deserving, right? So do not force the main event before the engine is hot. Don't let anyone tell you that suffering through a cold start is a good thing. Your brain is a living system. Treat it like this. Warm it up. Let it reach the temperature so that you are ready to take action on what you want to build. And then only from that stage, from the state of play, relaxation, joy, fun, then you want to take action. Then you want to create. Not because you forced yourself to do it, but you just can't help yourself to not do it, right? So that's the main idea for this video. And if it resonated, if you want to get paid to exist doing what you love, if you want to go deeper on what I just described in this video, both the spiritual and biological principles, then click and watch this video next here.